outdated. I'm sorry, I forgot to change this. There are now 2 women justices. At the time, I put the only woman justice as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but who is the second woman justice in the Supreme Court?
You read about her in your Time for Kids.
Oh,
Okay. Caleb?
it is Sonia Sotomayor. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, well, there are now 2 women justices in the Supreme Court. There is Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor. And the judicial branch encompasses the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court rules on important national cases. For instance, in 2000, they determined whether the election would go to George Bush or to Al Gore. So that's one that was fairly recent, very big news quite good. On the Supreme Court are 9 judges known as justices, led by the Chief Justice. They are appointed by the President and serve for life or unless they resign. So it's a really important position to be a justice because that means that it's a responsibility you have for life or until you resign, and that means that you have to make your decisions really carefully and you have to understand them before you say, oh, I'll become a justice, really the weight that carries. So, a quick review before we move on to state and local government. What are the 2 parts that make up the legislative branch?
2 parts that make up the legislative branch. We should know this. Okay, Jordan?
House of Representatives and the Senate. The House of Representatives and the Senate. Excellent. What about the executive branch? What does the executive branch encompass?
Niall?
The President and the Cabinet. Excellent. The President's Cabinet. Finally, the judicial branch we know is the Supreme Court. How many justices are there on the Supreme Court?
Remember we looked at the picture and talked about that? Christian?
9. Very good. So, you guys look like you know your facts about the 3 branches of government pretty well. Now, moving on to state and local government. So, this is kind of an interesting one. Now, in our country, the power is apportioned in an interesting way. So, there's the federal government, right? So, that's national government, the president, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. But there's also our own state and local government. So that could include maybe, in my state, Washington State, we have some counties and county executives, and they're pretty powerful. And there's also the governor and mayors, and probably that's like that in a lot of states. And so state government is led by the governor of that state. Can you tell me who your state's governor is?
Okay, we talked about this too. Who's our state governor? Caleb. No, begins with a P, but that's not it. Christian?
Governor Patterson?
Yes, Patterson.
Very good, Dave Patterson. Okay, so your state's governor is Dave Patterson, and state government is, in some ways, similar to national government. For instance, states have their own state senates, and many United States senators are state senators before becoming U.S. senators. So it's kind of interesting how it really mirrors in many ways the structure of national government. So your city is governed by a mayor. Can you tell me who your city's mayor is?
Okay. The mayor, does he make Stephen?
Yes, sir.
Louder? The mayor, Brianna?